Lines with your host, Cindy Gomez-Schempp,
and Duke Gomez-Schempp
on 88.1 FM, KPPPLP, Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. And on my last show, which was called Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire?
Yeah.
And the one before that, Trumped Up.
Mm-hmm.
I told you on my last show about Sedef Buyakataman,
Oh, yes.
who was one of the people that was left in charge of the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And you knew that our station has been covering the DAPL protest and the story of Kathleen Bennett for, it's been almost 2 years.
2 years, yes.
God, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Woo! And so we learned a lot during the Kathleen Bennett case, and then we started to cover the story about Brennan's case and the similarities between B.J. Nastasio's case and the Kathleen Bennett case, and the way they were getting treated, especially by the Water Protector Legal Collective, but also other so-called water protectors, like Mike Fassig, Michael Marcus, et cetera, people that were involved in the Kathleen Bennett case who falsely accused Oglala Lakota woman of abusing her elderly mother with dementia who went to the prayer and protest camp in the fall, early winter of 2016, 16 going into 17. Right?
Yeah.
Kathleen's mom was featured, her story and Kathleen being arrested were featured prominently in the Tiger Swan sponsored media, what was it called?
Netizens for Progress.
Netizens for Progress. This story was featured all across the country. It made national and even international headlines. And I've yet to see Carolyn Gruskin or anyone at the Bismarck Tribune print a story about how they got it wrong.
Yeah.
How they criminalized an Oglala Lakota mom and mother and daughter and put Mary Trujillo in an early grave after having left her alone in a hospital in Bismarck for 6 months. After which she could no longer ambulate and she was returned to her home with bed sores.
Yeah.
You know how horrible it is to get bed sores? That was what the hospital did. But it wasn't just what the hospital did. It was all of the people that put her there. It wasn't just Bill Running Fisher, the guy that made the false accusations and impersonated a U.S. Marshal along with Von Bo Lodge out at the camps. It wasn't just that. It was the fact that all of these people that were involved with the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock along the way, whether it was Sedef, Michael A. Wood Jr., and even Wesley Clark, they all knew. They all heard. They learned about what was happening. People reached out to them, like Josh and Ren, two of the witnesses in this case. And in my last show, I showed all of you, I spoke about the fact that two of the people in the Kathleen Bennett witness list, Jen Spalding and Robin Gage, had their pictures taken at the pavilion with Wes Clark. When I first talked to Wes Clark and asked him if he knew of any veterans that might have taken pictures with him, that might have had pictures of the area where Kathleen or Mary were, anyone that he could ask if they had seen Kathleen and Mary because he was there and he knew a lot of other veterans, he never mentioned Robin or Jen Spalding to me. And I showed you that they continue to have a friendship on Facebook, not only with Wes, but also with Sedef Buyakataman. And I also showed you in my last show that not only did Wes maintain a relationship with Sedef afterwards, with visits to his home, that they had a relationship prior to him going out to Standing Rock, and that in fact, Sedef and her dad are both connected within WikiLeaks documents to the Turkish propaganda press outside media outlet Turkish Forum, and that those communications from the Turkish Forum, of which Sedef Buyakataman was the communications director and the father was the president, we're going directly into the email box of the son-in-law of a dictator in Turkey named Recep Erdogan. His son-in-law, Berat, that guy's box, his email box, was among the leaks that were in WikiLeaks where Sedef and her dad appear. They also appear many other times. And I also showed you that they all had a barbecue at Wes Clark Jr.'s house with Wes Clark Sr.,
Yep.
the former supreme head of NATO, and a four-star general that ran for president. With Sedef's dad and Sedef. Okay? And I also told you about a submarine that they bought.
Yeah.
Remember the submarine? The
Oh, yeah.
Razorback? I told you about that?
Mm-hmm.
So if you did not know what was being talked about on that show, and that was the one, Let's Talk Turkey. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Nemo, you got to put that on the list for me. Let's Talk Turkey on the list of previous shows. And the one before that was Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire. The one on Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire talked about Aylin Altanuk, another Turkish woman who, oddly enough, coincidentally enough, you know, Aylin Altanuk's father went to the same Turkish university as Sedef's dad did. Coinkydink, and Sedef is also friends and knows and was out at Standing Rock with Aylin Altanuk, who is connected to Activate Now. But more on that later. You guys already saw that, heard that. I'm just catching you up to where we are today so that you can understand where I'm coming from on this show. So after my last show, which was all about that Razorback and well, I mean, it ended with basically Sedef and the Razorback.
Yeah.
Let's Talk Turkey. I was contacted by Wesley Clark, and in fact, he made several comments during the show about, and called me actually during the broadcast. Of course, I don't really take phone calls during the broadcast because I'm going off of a script that I've already prepared for the show. So anyway, he sent messages to the comment section of our show, and here's some of the things that he said. You want to read those, honey?
Yeah, Wesley Clark. I never paid Seven. She found her own funder because I told her the whole point of it was that nobody gets paid. She befriended me for about a month or two earlier through Josh Fox, who I interviewed on TYT. She said she wanted to cover the vets, and she seemed to know a lot of people out there, which I didn't, other than Phyllis. I have no reason to doubt Seven, who visited my home a couple of times after Standing Rock.
Okay, let's go through that. I want to break it down.
All right.
I want to break it down for you. He's talking about Seven Mcdonald.
Okay.
The PR person that I showed you went out to do PR work on behalf of the Veteran Stand for Standing Rock, and I said at the time on my last show, Let's Talk Turkey, that Wes was the one who hired her. In a call that I had with him on April 22nd, 2018, which is a half an hour long, in which I am not going to play for you tonight because it would take up too much time on this show. But I promise I will in the future so you can hear the whole thing and you won't question whether he was taken out of context or anything like that. But, you know, yours truly likes to bring receipts, right?
Exactly.
I show you my receipts. You see my math. You see my work. So, you know, I think I've established that I'm a straight shooter with y'all. And I want to tell you that what I remember, and I said this on my last show, was that Wes told me in that call on April 22nd, while we were talking about Maggie, who I had just exposed on my show and called an infiltrator, a spy, or some such thing, okay? And he called me after that show and told me he'd watched it, and we chatted about Maggie and what I thought of her and how I thought she was connected to bad stuff, spying, infiltration, specifically trying to harm the cases of water protectors and in particular attack people that I was reporting on here at 88.1 FM.
Yes, yes.
And so I was told by various sources, I confirmed with various sources what Maggie was doing, and so I was certain, and I told Wes that I was not questioning whether or not Maggie was a spy. I knew she was a spy. In this call I had with him, and what I recall is that he told me that, and I said, I believe Seven is also questionable because Maggie told me the entire time I spoke to her for over a year that she and Seven were close, like super close, like sisters close. Like Seven is her closest confidant and her best friend in the entire world. She talked about me all the time with Seven. Seven wanted to talk to me so badly. Seven loves my shows. Seven watches all my shows. Seven does so much for me in the background. Seven. So I was like, now that I know about this Maggie chick, I am sure that that's Seven chick that she was always talking about, but never had on the phone with me. She never let Seven call me, or Seven was smart enough, I think, to avoid talking to me on the record.
Yeah.
And what happened during that conversation was, and this is what I remember again, that Wes told me, oh, wait, no, Seven's not a person of concern. I brought her out to Standing Rock. I was the one that commissioned her to do this work for the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock. And he told me that he raised the money for her to go out there. I recalled from the conversation that that's what he had said. I was wrong about that, by the way. I'm going to play for you exactly what he did say, which made me believe and infer that the person that hired her, Seven, was Wesley Clark. And here's where I made the inference, folks. I made the inference from the fact that Wes says right there in that post that Duke just took down that he had no reason to doubt Seven, who visited his house a couple of times after Standing Rock. In the phone call that I am about to play a section of you for, he actually tells me that Seven is a good friend. He says Seven is a good friend, and in the post that I showed on my last show, Let's Talk Turkey, where Sedef and Wes and Seven Mcdonald are all talking, and they're talking about their connection to their organizer, Desiree Kane, the fake Miwok Indian, the transracial Indian lady, that one, yeah, she was also in the comments. They were all talking together, and Wesley Clark's wife, Anna, said to Seven about the fur coats that she was going to be taking to Standing Rock, oh, I'm glad you didn't take that one fur coat in there, because I would have had to stop taking your calls, meaning that Anna also speaks to Seven, knows Seven, and takes her calls. They're friends.
Yeah.
As he said to me, they were friends on April 22nd, 2018. In addition to that, on April 22nd, 2018, he told me that she talked to him about going out and doing PR for Standing Rock, and then I knew. At that moment, I knew. Because Maggie told me she was out there doing PR work for Wes, and that she was working with Seven. So putting two and two together means if Seven and Maggie were working together doing PR on behalf of Wesley Clark, if Maggie was hired by Wes, then so was Seven. And by hired, I mean he acted as the head of the organization. He made the call out to the veterans. Yeah. He raised over $1.4 million on the Young Turks to get people to go out to Standing Rock, to commit themselves, to put their lives on the lines for the water protectors, for the people that were out at the Standing Rock protest camp. And he, through his connections and friendships to these people, asked them to come out and do work for Standing Rock. But he didn't personally put money in their hands. Yeah. He didn't take a check from his checkbook and write it directly to Seven. But somebody raised that money to pay her on behalf of working for the Standing Rock Veteran Stand and Wesley Clark. And it was his friend, Seven. And of course, Sedef stayed behind working for the Standing Rock Veterans Organization. And I told you all about how she rose to fame and fortune, working for Rubicon, and now she's at Activision. And she was given that agency by Wes, by the job that Wes gave her, by the opportunity that Wes gave her. Never mind that he was ousted from Standing Rock by Michael A. Wood Jr., and that Michael A. Wood Jr. Supposedly took all the money, and Wes had nothing to do with the money. But here's what I know. He made the call out. He asked people to go out there, and he had something to do with bringing Maggie and Seven aboard. I want you to listen to his exact words about what he said. But first, I want you to go to the second comment that Wes made here. Okay, no, next one. He says, I'm blown away by the Sedef stuff. So he says he did not know anything about this. And when he called me on the phone afterwards, after the show, my last show, he did tell me he had no idea that Sedef had been with the Turkish Forum and had not ever mentioned that on her resume or to him. And he says here, she came into our lives as a friend, and I had no reason to distrust her until last summer. Until last summer. So the summer of 2017 and the summer of 2017, that's when he no longer could trust her. And then he says, too many coincidences. And the next one, Wes says, we were friends. I had no reason to be suspicious of her. She was not pro-Erdogan and never said anything anti-Semitic or racist, except for the fact that she allowed she paid Bill Running Fisher,
exactly.
the person working for Wesley Clark's Veterans Stand for Standing Rock national spokesperson, L'Oreal Blackshaw, the major sergeant left in charge of operations at Standing Rock, recruited by Wes, recruited by Michael A. Wood Jr. She was the one that paid those people who perpetrated a crime of kidnapping, impersonating a U.S. Marshal, and along with Mulaney, lied and collected a whole bunch of false statements with Christina Hollenbeck.
Oh, yeah.
Christina Hollenbeck.
The kingpin.
The kingpin.
Yep.
Who also came into camp and was immediately given agency by Wes Clark Jr. I have the text messages where he sends her off to meet with Phyllis Young and other people. Okay? So, this is how those folks got into Standing Rock. This is how these folks went on to do what they have done on behalf of Standing Rock people. And what Sedef did, whether or not she said the racial slur or some of this, just because you don't see her saying and doing all the things that her daddy did doesn't mean that she wasn't the communications director of the publication with all the anti-Semitic and racist stuff in it.
Exactly.
She was the communication director, or is still, I don't know. She's the communication director of a racist anti-Semitic publication that is propaganda for a dictator. Okay? So just because she doesn't say it or post it on her Facebook page doesn't mean it's not so.
True.
And also, what she did and how she ignored the Kathleen Bennett case, how she let that woman languish in a hospital and did nothing to help her, but made sure that Bill Running Fisher got paid and L'Oreal got paid. That to me is anti-woman.
Yeah.
It is ableist because they left a woman with dementia in a hospital to die.
It's criminal.
It is unpatriotic. It is anathema to the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock mission, which was to help indigenous people, not try and kill them and put them in jail and perpetrate violence against them. And you know what? The people that were associated with that kidnapping, Mulaney Stoneman, Bill Running Fisher, Lacey Jean Williams, Mike Fassig, all these other people, right, went on to be key people in the BJ Nastasio case. Also went on to be found out to be informants, and more importantly, went on to be found out to be rapists,
Yeah.
kidnappers,
Mm-hmm.
Polarola. Whoops.
Yeah.
I mean, what
Whoops.
did somebody say to that? Whoops.
A whole lot of raping going on.
Yeah. That's why I called tonight's show A Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, because there is a whole lot of raping going on.
Exactly.
Is that an Elvis song? I don't remember.
No, it's that auto-tuned one.
Okay. And so now I want you to play that clip. And here, by the way, is a picture of the interview in which he is interviewing Dia Schlossberg or Schlosser. I can't remember. Is it Berg?
No, I think it's Schlosser.
Schlosser. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. And Josh Fox from, was it Gasland? And he also did that really long title, Let Go of All the Things That You Can't Fix in the World. And he should have named it something else because nobody can remember what the hell it's called, documentary, which he was promoting prior to Stand Rock. Maggie talked about it. I'm sure that Seven was one of the promoters of that thing. Wouldn't be surprised. But he told me on the phone in a call after I did the last show about the Let's Talk Turkey, the Turks, the Young Turks, the Penny Turks involved in this. He told me that he met Seven after this interview. That Seven was promoting Josh's stuff, and that's
right. He did say that.
That's how he ended up meeting her. But remember, in the comments that he just made on the last show, he said that that he met her, that she went to his house, that I don't know if he was talking about Seven or Sedef, for sure, but it made it sound to me like it was, he was friends with Seven, or with Sedef, that she came to his house on a couple of occasions after. And in the phone call you're about to hear, he told me they were friends. He was close to her. He didn't have any reason to suspect her, not her. Maggie, sure. Maggie, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Maggie, yeah, she's weird, paranoid. Cut her down. Throw her under the bus. We're done with her. Mm-hmm. But not Seven. Seven was like, in this phone call, he's like, no, Seven, blah, blah. And so the weird thing is that in that April 22nd call, which I'm gonna let you listen to in its entirety, he very much makes the case that he was with Seven a lot at Standing Rock. He was with her, those were his exact words, in fact, a lot. I was with her a lot. And in my last phone call that he called me right after the show to say, you made a mistake, you said I paid Seven, I never paid her. I still would argue you hired her, though. You told her to come out there. But here's the weird part. Put that first comment up. The first one. He said, she found her own funder because I told her the whole point of it. The whole point of it?
Yeah.
Of what? The whole point of her finding her own funder? The whole point of that is that nobody gets paid. The whole point of Veterans Stand for Standing Rock is that nobody gets paid. Then why'd you raise that $1.4 million? Weren't vets supposed to be reimbursed? Oh, wait, I heard most of them were not. Mm-hmm. Weren't people that you harmed, that Veterans Stand for Standing Rock harmed, supposed to have some kind of remuneration for the damages done to their families and their lives? Oh, wait, that didn't happen either.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by the whole point was that no one's supposed to get paid? Obviously, if you raise a whole bunch of money, millions of dollars, I know you don't care about money, Wes, but obviously you raised the money for something, for something, right? Was it just supposed to be for Michael Ewood Jr. to pocket it all along? Was that the deal that y'all made ahead of time? Because otherwise, that money would have been to reimburse. Mm-hmm. The whole point of raising the money was to reimburse the veterans and to pay for the needs of the veterans, right? For the transportation, for the food, for any lodging that was necessary, for all of that. That's what that money was supposed to be for. That's what it wasn't used for that, but that's what the money was supposed to be for. Was it supposed to be used to pay Bill Running Fisher for kidnapping an old lady? No. I would argue that no, it was not to be
Raised for
used
that,
for the
yeah.
purposes of kidnapping.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's weird. I don't understand for sure what that statement means, but that statement makes no sense to me because it's a weird statement to say the whole point was that no one was to get paid. Or was that a statement to say that the whole point of not paying her directly, that you didn't pay her directly, that you didn't give her the money, that someone else gave the money to her, is so that you're not responsible for giving her agency as her employer, for starting the organization and putting her in a capacity as a PR person on your behalf and on behalf of the organization which you helped to start, the call out for which you made, Wesley Clark. But I don't know if it's that simple. I don't know if you can just shake it off like that. Here's that interview. Here's the clip. And here is the picture of him interviewing Josh Fox and Dia Schlossberg. Sure?
Yep.
Not sure.
Schlosser.
Make it bigger.
Schlosser.
Make it bigger.
Okay.
The picture, the interview picture, make it bigger.
Here we go.
Yep, that her grandfather is a retired judge, that her dad is a lawyer or a retired judge, that her mom is a retired judge, you know.
Yeah.
But what she was saying to people like Sam was, I've been working on people's cases. I'm not a lawyer, but my family is, and I've been helping a lot of people with their legal cases from Standing Rock.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like soliciting to me. Because she's telling them that she's worked on this case with Prolific, and they brought in these lawyers, and, you know. And she's credentializing.
I don't know. She told me she was not a lawyer, but that her dad was a judge, and she had all these judges in the family and stuff. That's really all I remember. But also, remember, I was wrong about a lot of stuff last summer. I was like having a paranoid episode.
Right. I agree. I'm not saying that you may not have been wrong about your, like specifics of certain things, but I don't think that what you were saying about who invited you out to Standing Rock, or what you were concerned about going to Flint, because you said the threats that were made against me were specific to Flint.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure, the death threats were definitely, we're going to get you in Flint.
Mm-hmm. So.
And they were from neo-Nazis.
So I thought that was very relevant.
Yeah, no, I think it's relevant too.
Anyway, now we know about Maggie Day. I'm glad you got caught up, because that was quite a doozy for me. And the fact that her and Seven were brought out there to work on whatever the fuck she was doing, PR work.
Well, Seven came to me and got some donor who I knew to pay money to get her to go out to be the press person. She was like, you guys don't have any press, you're going to go out there, it's going to be a disaster, you don't know how to do anything. And I'm like, okay. So she came out, I was with her. I trust Seven.
Oh, well, I've never met Seven. I don't know anything about her. I just know that Maggie told me that they went out there to do this press work, and that she had.
I didn't meet Maggie.
You only
not out there. I met her last summer when she showed up at my house, like looking like she was tweaked out of her mind, giving me all this crazy shit to feed into my paranoia.
You did not meet Maggie?
Not at Standing Rock.
Really?
I met her last summer. Seven said she'd been out there earlier at Standing Rock, because Seven was associated with that actress who got arrested.
Charlene?
Yes. So I'm guessing that's when she was out there and Maggie were out there at the same time.
Because she told me she was right there in the pavilion when you were there.
She might have been. I don't remember her. I mean, remember, there were like thousands of people.
The way she talked about it, the way she talked about you at that and what she saw, she made it sound like you and her were in communication about all of this stuff the entire time, even about leaving and about your mental state and about what was happening to your life and your family, all of it.
I have no recollection of that.
Was she giving me that information through Seven, do you think, or what?
Probably, because Seven was with me a lot out there. Seven was with me a lot.
My guess is that she was, I mean, this is the only thing I can guess, is that she was talking to Seven, because she did say that this Seven person was the person that she had a lot of this inside information from, you know?
I don't think Seven had that much inside information. I mean, she's with me all the time. I consider Seven like a good friend.
Yeah. Well, she did say that,
But Seven also introduced me to Maggie, like in June last year, when all this shit came up on your show.
well, whatever she was...
Because before then, I was just like, I'm suspicious of a lot of people, so I'm just going to fucking stay out of everything. And then her and Josh and your show just pushed me over the edge.
Well, she's dropped off the fucking face of the earth.
There's a lot of suspicious people.
She's dropped off the face of the earth.
Oh, yeah? She's disappeared?
Yep. Ever since that video came out, Maggie, Carol, Deanna, poof, disappeared.
Really? Disappeared off Facebook?
I haven't seen her. I'm sure her page is still there, but like, they all unfriended me and blocked me and removed themselves from our pages. They, stopped making any message, saying anything in our group chats. Like, everybody disappeared. They didn't even wait for me to confront Carol or Deanna. They just disappeared along with her.
Weird.
They're like, gone. I'm like, bye.
Weird.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
I was like, bye.
Goodbye.
Okay, so I promise you I will let you hear that whole thing at a later date, but I can't do it now because it's too long. What I wanted you to hear, what I wanted you to confirm, was what I heard, which was that Seven asked him, like, do you have PR for this veterans thing? And he was like, no. And she's like, well, that's stupid. You have to have it. It needs to be done. You're going to crash and burn. I need to do this for you. And that then she, if I heard correctly this time, something about she raised some money.
Yeah, a donor mentioned it.
She got
a donor, yeah. And remember, we showed her her resume the other night in our other show. That showed that she was, doing PR work for Wesley Clark during that time and is available continually when as needed.
Correct. So.
Yeah.
All of these things confirm for me. She's employed by him.
Yep.
And so was Maggie. So was Maggie. So, I thought, like, geez, what do Josh and Ren have to say about this? So I called Josh and Ren, the witnesses in the Kathleen Bennett case. What you just heard on the radio a second ago, what you just heard was Wesley Clark Jr. talking to me back in April 22nd of 2018.
Yep.
Right after I exposed that one of the people that was doing PR work for the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock with Seven Mcdonald that were working for him, unbeknownst to me at the time, but which I discovered through this process, was telling me he was with Seven a lot. Then he said all the time. He considered her a very good friend, he said. Am I right about that?
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard that He said they're very close. Very close.
In the call that he made to me after my very last show, he acted like they barely know each other. She came to his house twice. That's what he says on the comments in the last show. He says about her, I didn't pay her. She came to my house twice. I had no reason to doubt her. And he told me, and this is in the last conversation I had right after the show, Let's Talk Turkey, in which he said to me, I was only with Seven about 5% of the time.
Okay.
So it went from all of the time to 5% of the time. And again, I will have to play that conversation with you at another time. What I will tell you was that Wes was quite agitated. And the show Let's Talk Turkey, if you haven't seen it, is what I believe made him so agitated. I told him why I think he's agitated, and I think it's because here's all of these connections, not only to him and to the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock, but also to his father.
Yeah, exactly.
With these Turkish forum appearing in the WikiLeaks, putting out propaganda that's pro-Erdogan.
Yeah, exactly.
And anti-Semitic. So, and whose dad is a Trump supporter. Sedef's dad is a big Trump supporter. It's a lot of interesting things.
Definitely.
And I think that the connections that we made and the fact that all of this took place, this meeting with Sedef's dad took place at Wesley Clark's house.
Exactly, his house, backyard.
I think those things were upsetting to him. And he told me a lot of things that he felt that had been insinuated through the show that he wanted to correct. And I basically said, and I'm going to play this at another time for you, but I basically told him, look, these folks need to be exposed, and what they've done needs to be exposed. Just because you didn't know or you claim to have not known about it at the time doesn't mean I can't talk about it.
True.
And it doesn't mean I can't show how it connects to you, because it does. Because it does. That's how it connects. And so, if you haven't done anything wrong in those connections, you should have nothing to worry about.
Yep,
and
exactly.
he told me he doesn't. So I said, cool. And then he published this article the next day. This is the Wes, it's called Seven Approved. This is the post made on Twitter about Wes's blog, which he recently started blogging in. In fact, I think it was shortly after Liar Liar Pants on Fire that he began blogging into this blog. And in this blog post, he speaks about his mental illness. And he says, and I'm not going to read the whole post to you. I believe that this post was actually in response to my show about Let's Talk Turkey and the connections between the Turkish government of Recep Erdogan, a dictator that recently fist bumped Trump at the G20 summit or something. I can't remember what it's called. That guy is what really created this post, is what precipitated this post, is what this post is meaning to address the show in which I showed those connections. And he says, my mental illness. And this is about his mental illness and his trip out to Standing Rock. And he said he got diagnosed with severe PTSD in 2010, and the causes were manyfold. He said, I sought help, did several years of talk therapy, and avoided crowds. I functioned again. And then it goes on.
Yeah.
You all gotta go find it for yourself and read it if you'd like to do that. However, I wanted to show you one of the people that approved of this post. It was Seven Mcdonald, one of the PR people working for Veterans Stand for Standing Rock, according to her own resume for Wes Clark, doing work for Wes Clark for the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock at Veterans Stand, and ongoing as needed.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct. Very correct.
Okay. So, one of the interesting things that I found in his blog post was that he went on some kind of spiritual awakening thing, and there was all these things that triggered him.
Mhm.
Among them were that all these medicine men came to him, and these medicine men that came to him were, like blowing his mind, if you will,
Yeah.
or like making his heart vibrate or throb or something. And he was like, and he talks about these gurus. And one of those gurus I recently found was none other than RedWolf Pope. One of the people he wrote about
Okay.
in this My Mental Illness, one of the gurus that he's talking about in there,
That's right.
is RedWolf Pope. That guru. To him. That was his guru that went and talked to him, to Wes Clark Jr., RedWolf Pope. Y'all know who RedWolf Pope is? Because I'm about to share who he is with you if you don't know. And that's why this show is also called Wolf in Sheep's Clothing.
Yeah, I get it.
You see what I did there?
I
You
sure
see
do.
what I did?
Mhm.
So RedWolf Pope, if you don't know, is a pervert and a rapist.
Mhm.
Here he is in a tweet from none other than Josh Long, the witness in the Kathleen Bennett case. And Josh tweeted, hashtag RedWolf Pope was introduced to us, to the witnesses,
Yeah.
to Josh Long and Ren Brown, the witnesses in the Kathleen Bennett case. RedWolf Pope, the rapist. So Josh is, just so everybody knows what's going on here,
Yeah, explain it.
out in the world
Yeah.
that is listening, I am showing people a tweet by one of the witnesses in the Kathleen Bennett case that I investigated that came out of Standing Rock about elder abuse.
Yep.
Okay? And this witness in that case, where that woman was facing 15 years in prison, is tweeting about the time that Wes introduced him to a rapist.
Yep.
And he says, RedWolf Pope was introduced to us, him and his girlfriend, Ren Brown, by Wes Clark Jr. Hashtag Standing Rock Phonies. Hashtag Standing Rock. While we were trying to learn more about those that falsely accused Kathleen Bennett. He said, hashtag Arvo Looking Horse was his medicine man. And it is posted along with an article from the Seattle, well, maybe it's not. I think it might be king5.com.
Yeah.
Seattle native activist accused of rape doing videotaping his victims. And what does Wes say there below? After reading a few more articles, it turns out he's got no Native American blood. He was one of the gurus I mentioned in the essay on Friday.
Yeah.
See? He said, I'm blown away at how thoroughly I got suckered. So, and here is more of that tweet, in which the witness, Josh Long, in the Kathleen Bennett case, says, hashtag RedWolf Pope, also a fake lawyer, who sued at the real Donald Trump, representing hashtag Kathleen Bennett's son.
Yeah.
Kathleen Bennett's son, Russell Vasquez, one of the witnesses in her case, and other hashtag Standing Rock phonies, along with at Ralph Nader, lawyer Oliver B. Hall.
Wow.
And he put a link to the revolutiontruth.org, the organization run by none other than Tangerine Bolin, whose attaché Linda Blackwell appeared on my show when they were talking about this lawsuit, which they later titled Jumping Eagle versus Trump.
Yep.
And Jumping Eagle refers to none other than Sarah Jumping Eagle, the wife of Chase Lying Eyes. Excuse me, Chase Iron Eyes.
Yep.
The guy that got people arrested at the Last Child camp. The guy that entrapped people to get arrested en masse at the Last Child camp.
Yep.
And here is a expansion of the tweet pictures that show the filing here in the case of the United States District Court of District of Columbia of Sarah Jumping Eagle, LaDonna Brave Bull Allard. By the way, and let me just make this very clear. When I was first approached by Tangerine Bolin and Revolution Truth and Rebecca Blackwell, they were asking if I was going to be some kind of a plaintiff. They wanted to represent me. They wanted to talk to me because they heard that I had been getting censored and that the work that I was doing was being attacked.
Yeah.
And they wanted to help me and see if this Revolution Truth and their lawyers and their people could help me.
Mm-hmm.
And then later, as they heard about the things that were happening to me and in my reporting on the Kathleen Bennett case, they were more interested in Kathleen Bennett's story.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, without asking me or talking to me about it, they went behind my back, talked to Russell Vasquez, and asked him to be their very first, and for a long time, only plaintiff
Mm-hmm.
in the case against Donald Trump, now President of the United States of
Yep.
America. Okay?
Wow.
And then at the time, in his official capacity as the president and also the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the Dakota Access Pipeline. Okay?
Yep.
So, what happened? Can you put that back up?
Sure.
What happened between the time that Russell was the only plaintiff in this case is that they, as our case progressed and
Mm-hmm.
as we became more empowered and we had more ability to help Kathleen Bennett as we were discovering more and more information and exposing it, Tangerine Bolin and Rebecca Blackwell
Yeah.
kind of, distanced themselves from us, from our reporting. And also, by the way, they distanced themselves from Russell Vasquez.
Yeah. Yeah. He was like left out. He wasn't
And-
going on the junkets that they were doing. They were traveling around doing presentations, and
Mhm.
it was like he didn't exist on this lawsuit.
And one of these presentations that was done was, I don't know if it was in Europe or if it was here in the United States, but it looked like some kind of a church, some
Mhm.
fancy pants church.
Yep.
And one of the people there was that Holyoke Lafferty that was hanging out with Mulaney at the end of the camp talking to the governor's people.
Mm-hmm.
And that later went on to do stuff with Angelo Sison, the girlfriend of Angelo Sison, the guy that started Flint's Den.
Yep.
Flint Wolf's,
Yep.
Wolf's Den. The Den of Wolves.
The Den of Wolves.
Yeah. That lady was with Sarah Jumping Eagle and Washdewee's daughter, Washdewee Young, and some other woman I don't know what her name is. I don't even know if she's one of the people on here. And Holyoke Lafferty put on a really good performance, and she's like starts crying, and
Oh yeah.
it was kind of grody. But let me just read to you the plaintiffs and who they are, so that you know, because they went from having no plaintiffs to coming directly to Russell Vasquez as their first and only plaintiff for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept asking me about other people that they might be able to use.
That's right. That's right.
That
They're
I was
asking us.
reporting on after I found out.
Yeah.
So, Sarah Jumping Eagle, LaDonna Brave Bull Allard, Virgil Taken Alive, Cheyenne Garcia, William Wild Bill, Left Hand, Maxine Brings Him Back, Janice, Kathy Wilcuts, Crystal Cole, Russell Vasquez, Thomas E. Barber Sr., and Tate Lowan Garcia, Chani Phillips, and Washdewee Young,
Yep.
which of course is Phyllis Young's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So lots of the very people that were involved in, staging Standing Rock, making the call out to Standing Rock, also managed to get themselves arrested and make themselves the lead plaintiffs in the cases against the government, in the cases against Trump.
Yes.
And it's not, go ahead and put it up the other one. The next one shows RedWolf Pope was one of the counsels signing
right.
off on this pleading.
Mm-hmm.
It said of counsel, and one of the counsels, and I think there was 3 or 4 of them, is rapist RedWolf Pope. And it says he's an attorney at law, but he isn't.
Yeah, he's a fake attorney.
And it says member of the Tulalip Tribal Bar, office address, Seattle, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the next one here shows you that the other person that was the counsel that signed off, the main counsel, the main attorney representing Russell Vasquez and all these people and Tangerine Bolin and all this stuff against Trump is Oliver B. Hall, who is none other than founder and legal counsel to the Center for Competitive Democracy and represented Ralph Nader as a private attorney.
Yeah.
Ralph Nader, who ran with Winona LaDuke in the third party, Green Party? Was it the Green Party?
Yep, it was.
The Green Party? The one that Chase is doing all that running around for right now? The Green Party, that one? Yeah, okay. And she ran with Ralph Nader, and Winona LaDuke, of course, was at Standing Rock, and she's with Honor the Earth, and she is the what's it called? Fiscal agent for
that's right.
the Freshet.
The Freshet, yes.
The Freshet, the people that were bringing in the money for legal. And they had a fake attorney.
Yeah, wow.
I told you a lot about some of these WPLC attorneys are really weird.
And how all these things are connected. You know, you go through these connections. It's like, how did all these people end up on all these, here and connected to Kathleen Bennett and Standing Rock? Wow.
Will you show me the next, or is that all of them?
Yep, that's all.
Okay. Well, let me show you Tangerine Bolin so you can see. I'm not going to show you the video, but you can see here she is with the rapist.
Yep.
And she says, "Did you check, Tangerine? How can you be working with an organization that is taking on litigation against the President of the United States and the pipeline company and be so incompetent as to not even check the credentials of the people you are working with and promoting? Huh?
Yeah.
How does that even happen?" Here she is with, quote unquote, attorney RedWolf Pope, me, artist, Leahy Thunder Voice Eagle. And again, remember, this guy is being accused of not even being a real Native American.
Exactly.
Apparently, he's
Or an
actually
attorney.
Chinese.
Yeah.
And he and his parents, before him, his dad and his grandpa, were all really famous for impersonating Indians and even got support from people in Germany that gave them funds to open a wellness center, I believe in Seattle or Oregon.
Okay.
I can't remember. Next, I want to show you another picture of Tangerine Bolin where she is once again with what she calls attorney for Jumping Eagle versus Trump, RedWolf Pope. And then she says it's her. And then that's Dr. Chani Phillips. That's the doctor that was with sitting next to Holyoke Lafferty in that video that I told you I watched with RedWolf Pope.
That's right.
That's her. That's the other one. When I said I don't know who the other woman is. So she's one of the actual plaintiffs that they found later. At the time that I was talking to Tangerine and her protege, Rebecca Blackwell, she did not have any of these other plaintiffs. She only had Russell, and then later that left-hand guy, whatever that guy, that was the only ones I remember. And it was for a very long time that it was that way. And I wanted to show you the article from Native News Online in which they talk about RedWolf Pope being an alleged rapist.
Oh, boy. Oh, that one went.
And it says that in this article, it says that he turns out to have not been an American Indian after all. And it's been confirmed that he is not really an attorney, although it appears he may have gone to law school but never passed the bar exam or never sat for the bar exam because maybe he couldn't sit for it for other reasons. Here's a comment that someone made after one of the shows. Can you put up the Pope comment, honey?
Yeah, cancel that.
Yeah, don't worry about that, honey.
Okay.
Put the Pope comment up. Pope comment. It is the Pope comment right now. Beth said, and this is on the article that I'm talking to you about, she says, while he did graduate from law school, he was never allowed to sit. Oh. For the Washington State Bar exam, as he couldn't pass character and fitness portions of the application. Mental fitness?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think that they do
do
physical
pull-ups?
fitness. I don't think they do that for lawyers, do they?
I don't know.
I think it's a mental competency of some sort.
I
He
see.
doesn't
Like not lying.
them or ethical,
Yeah.
My understanding is he's an inactive member of the Tulalip Tribal Court. These tribal courts are really iffy, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then he says he has a long history of physical violence toward women.
Ah, there we go.
Again, these are allegations. He is in a jail, and they have video of him raping women. And here's the news stories that I was able to find. A couple of news stories that'll give you some more detail on that.
RedWolf Pope. He's an activist that did a Seattle TED Talk about his experience at Standing Rock. He also spent time talking with King 5 journalists about issues in his community. He's someone that members of his community trusted and revered, and now he is facing a slew of charges, including rape, battery, and false imprisonment. There's a lot of layers to this case involving Pope's apartments in both Seattle and Santa Fe, New Mexico. The 9-page charging document from the Santa Fe Police Department was hard to read through. The documents say that in June, 2 people staying at Pope's Santa Fe apartment found pictures and videos of who they identified as RedWolf Pope having sex with unconscious women. The 2 say the videos and pictures look like they had been taken at his Santa Fe and Seattle apartments. One of the women identified in the video came forward to Seattle police saying she believed she was drugged and then raped by Pope. It also says a search turned up hidden cameras in the bathrooms and bedrooms of those apartments as well.
To be shared with other people, who they would take to their homes and light new fires.
TEDx Seattle has since taken this video off the web and then released a statement condemning the alleged behavior. Today I sat down with Sherry Trainer, a Seattleite. She's a member of the indigenous community and an acquaintance of Pope's. She said sexual assault is already a pervasive problem against indigenous women, and the fact that a member of the community may have carried out these acts is abhorrent.
And it's really sad, for our community, no matter whether it be Native or non-Native, it was just an act of, it's horrible. But, I didn't expect this at all from him.
Now, these documents also say that he would rent out his Seattle apartment on Airbnb. King 5, we reached out to Airbnb, notifying them about these charges. They then released a statement condemning the alleged behavior, removing RedWolf Pope as a host, and then reaching out to law enforcement to see if they could help. Seattle police are conducting their own investigation into Pope separate from the Santa Fe case. So far, Pope has not been charged with anything in Seattle, but he is being held in Santa Fe without bond. In the newsroom, Vanessa Mishanya, King 5 News.
Wow.
So pretty damning evidence.
Yeah.
Apparently, according to that commenter on the news story that I was reading from online, his father has also been accused of. He's been accused of having a history of abuse with women, but his father's also been accused of having a history.
Yeah, and being a fake Indian too.
And being a fake Indian, yes.
Yeah.
All of these things. So these are men that are abusing their power and fake Indianness to rape people. It so changes my mind about staying at Airbnbs. How does it make you feel about Airbnbs? Did that not freak you out? Because I've stayed at Airbnbs before.
Yeah, you're gonna have to when you go to an Airbnb, you're gonna have to scan the place for cameras. Get some of those devices that can actually see cameras and lenses and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's pretty creepy. Pretty creepy that.
I'm going to give you some Airbnb advice.
Yeah.
If you rent out a space to the public for their use, like a hotel room would or something else like that, you can't film people in private places like showers, bathrooms, and bedrooms. Because that's a crime.
Yes. Yes, it is.
That is a crime in and of itself, in addition to the raping. The raping they did. Why do these criminals involved in these kidnappings and rapes and stuff like to film their crimes?
I know.
What is up with that?
So they're collectors.
Remember Fasig filming the girl? He made her do a video, the kidnapped victim, telling people she was fine. And then he and Ed Higgins went on their live stream platforms to try to hide the crime and hide the fact that Derek was an informant and that Michael Fasig is an informant. Yeah. But it's so interesting. There's been so many of these rapists, so many of these bad men that have surfaced, from Jordan Sheridan to Fassig's son,
Yep.
to Ed Higgins,
Chelsea
to Chelsea
Lyons.
Lyons, Ty Bayless.
Mm-hmm.
There's raping and raping and raping and raping.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the people that supported, that held them up, that put these people on a pedestal, and in fact lashed out at this reporter at a Mexican crossing line, Cindy Gomez-Schempp, yours truly, for reporting on their crimes.
Yeah.
These same people are the kind of people that support rapists like RedWolf Pope and give him agency and give him an in and hang out with him and show him off to people. Right? I'm going to have, at some point, not tonight, because we don't got time for none of that tonight,
Mm-hmm.
but at some point soon, I'm going to have Josh and Ren, or one of them, tell me about their experience of meeting RedWolf Pope
Okay.
on that visit,
Yeah. that
in
would be
which
good.
Sedef was present.
Yeah.
So Josh and Ren reached out to Wes, as far as I understand it, and said, hey, there was a woman out at Standing Rock that was kidnapped by none other than Bill Fisher, a guy hired by your people, paid by your people, Sedef, and the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock, and we could use your help.
Mm-hmm.
We could use your help. And he said, yes, we're coming. And he went there, and he met with Sedef and Wesley Clark Jr. and RedWolf Pope. They brought
Yeah.
along the rapist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
So I will have them tell you about how that visit went and what it was about and what happened during it. Okay? So they can tell you that part of the story. What I will tell you now is that after they had that meeting, RedWolf Pope went on to commit crimes. And here's a picture of him with his gas mask on, in a post by Jordan Marie Daniel, in which she is exposing this guy for being a rapist.
Yeah.
And one of the pictures that she puts on it is that one. And here is the Jordan Marie. Did you play both of the newsreel videos?
Nope.
Oh, shoot. Excuse me. Rewind.
Yep.
Rewind. Play the other newsreel
Yeah,
so they
yeah.
get more details.
It's a different
The
news
one,
station.
the first one was from Fox 5, and this one is
Channel 13.
a Channel 13 video.
He's a well-known Native American activist, and he's accused of drugging and sexually assaulting women and then recording his crimes with hidden cameras. Here's News 13's Rachel Knapp with the disturbing details.
Well, Kim, according to police documents, RedWolf Pope's Santa Fe roommates alerted police when they found hidden cameras in an apartment they all share. Well, we spoke with neighbors who say the accusations are horrifying.
They're just trying to let the teachers know that there are a lot of Native people that were forcibly separated from their traditions.
That's RedWolf Pope speaking on Fox News, one of his many TV appearances over the years. Pope, known as a businessman, entrepreneur, and activist for Native Americans, is accused of sexually assaulting at least 2 women. According to this criminal complaint filed just days ago, Pope's roommates notified police when they found small recording devices in their shared bathrooms. And after looking into those recordings, they found disturbing images and videos of Pope, quote, having intercourse with multiple females that have appeared to be unconscious, and described one image as showing a man who appears to be RedWolf Pope, holding the camera at himself as he's raping an unconscious woman. Mr. Pope is smiling in the picture. One alleged victim told police she believed she was drugged with roofies and date raped by Pope at a Santa Fe hotel in August last year.
Shocking. Just, you know, it's a small neighborhood, small town, and a little uneasy.
There was something weird, but I really wanted to think that it wasn't bad.
Pope's next-door neighbor last saw him 2 weeks ago after he gave her a hug. She says hearing about these allegations are alarming.
Yeah, it's really unsettling now that I think about it, like hugging him.
And change it. Change the world to a place of peace and of prayer.
Well, according to the complaint, when one woman confronted Pope, Pope claims it was consensual and stopped when she fell asleep.
Kim, back to you.
Okay, thanks, Rachel. Now, Pope was arrested in Phoenix this week. He's charged with 2 sexual assaults at this point. Investigators believe the crimes may have been committed in Santa Fe and Seattle, where he also has an apartment.
My guess is that his crimes would have been committed anywhere where he was.
Yeah, exactly.
And if he
Where
traveled
he
to
lived.
other places besides Seattle
In Santa Fe.
and Santa Fe, he probably did some raping there too.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of raping going on.
I bet you there is a lot of
I
raping
think there's a lot
going
more
on.
than 2 victims, like they said. You know, there's only 2 victims, and then roommates. Well, roommates, you know, were they male roommates, female roommates? They didn't really say.
That was a very elaborate setup, though.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't look like this just happened once.
No. This is premeditated, you know, collection of stuff, you know, just like really creepy. Really, really, really creepy. You know, that was happening, you know. And, you know, there are 2 different reports. The second report actually did a shot of the house, you know, that interviewed neighbors and that sort of thing. And they're like, oh, you know, we didn't know. You know, we didn't know the guy was creepy, you know, and a lot of times you don't. Creepers are really good liars and they're big fakers, you know. This guy was faking being a lawyer. He was faking being indigenous, Native American. He was a Native American activist that was on news shows for the past, like, I don't know, 10 years or more. He was on the Riley Factor. And TED Talks took his video down and, you know, boom, accountability right there. Boom, he's off there. Because the stuff he was saying on there, because it's all lies.
It's all lies. Everything he was doing, being a lawyer, working with Tangerine Bolin, makes you question that revolution.
Oh,
trip,
yeah, it
that
does.
whole thing.
Yeah, it does.
It makes me question the whole thing. And what even happened to that thing?
Yeah.
Where did it ever go? Would they raise thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for who and for what?
For their junkets. You know, they were over in Europe. They were traveling around. Russell was never with them. I remember that. I thought, how come Russell's not invited to any of this stuff?
Yeah.
His name was still on the lawsuit, you know, but they were taking all the women out and, you know, parading them around Europe.
Because the Kathleen Bennett case unraveled everything.
Yeah, it did.
For them. And you guys are going to be surprised in the accounting of what happened when Sedef and RedWolf Pope and Wes Clark Jr. all went. Why he took RedWolf Pope to meet with Josh and Ren, I don't understand. But he did. And you will be amazed at the differences between the recording of my conversation with Wes and what he told me about that meeting and what he told me occurred. And I think he talked about it on 2 separate occasions, actually, prior to recounting that whole story to me more recently. And there was some changes from what he had said the prior times.
Okay.
Prior time. So there's some inconsistencies in what he said before and what he's saying now or what he said more recently. And also a lot of different inconsistencies between what Josh and Ren say happened and what he said happened. But for more on that later. In a different show, not on this one, which is the Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. And if you're just joining us, you're listening to 88.1 FM KPPP LP, Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves, and you're listening to A Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp
and Duke Gomez-Schempp.
And we're talking about Standing Rock again and the Kathleen Bennett case again. I know you're probably tired of listening to me talk about this, but it is still stuff is still going on. What am I not supposed to report on it?
Yeah.
Like, I have to. And I know more about this than most people do because I've been diving deep into it. I'm doing real investigative journalism and research and analysis. And that takes time, and that takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of effort. And by no miracle, I've been doing it while fighting against these other forces that have a different agenda. One which wanted to criminalize and hurt the Kathleen Bennett's family, but when we uncovered it and also exonerated her, to cover that up, to hide that crime, to hide that story and their involvement in it in any way possible. And so I've been suffering a lot of attacks and discrediting on the part of a lot of the people that were involved. and trying to cover up this crime. And it was incredible to me how many of them there were. And what's becoming more disturbing to me is how many of them are connected back to Wes.
Yeah, yeah.
And back to the people that were promoting for the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock on his behalf, and Sedef, and the people that he was working with. Let me share with you this post by Jordan Marie. Jordan Marie made this long post, and I'm going to make you read it, dude.
All right. Jordan Marie Daniel, RedWolf Pope. This man, I'm sick to my stomach. Something I've always wished that I would take my gut instincts more seriously. At times I was wrong, but most I ended up being right. But I'm too nice and too hopeful at times. I had a gut feeling about him after I first met him at the Native Nations Rise March. Second picture, farther down. It was his eyes, but I ignored it because I was surrounded by so many amazing women and men that I admire and are friends with. My move to LA, I still ignored it, but I made sure to only hang out in public with people I knew. The role he made for himself, the stories of Standing Rock, the comments he had made about me, protecting and honoring women, talking about ceremonies, were just opportunities to prey upon myself and sisters. I feel duped and stupid for giving him the benefit of the doubt. How are we, as women, able to feel safe, even within our own friend circles? How are our guard constantly up? How many of us will become victims if we haven't already been victims? How are we to heal? The work I've been doing on trying to find solutions to end violence against women always brings me to a scary question every time I think of it. Am I next? Who else do I know and love will be a victim? I ask myself because it happens so much and too often. It's real. This is really for Indigenous women. Update. He is in police custody as of Tuesday, July 24th. Find this man. Bring the women he assaulted some peace, healing, and justice. Contact police. They have a number there. And they have two pictures.
Well, the only part of that, they have two pictures, and they're both very important. So I really, really want you to focus on those two pictures for a second.
All right.
And the only part of this, would you scroll down to the words she said first? No, not that way. The other way. All the way to the top, please.
All right.
Right there. Well, that's too far. The only part of this that rang out at me was, I still ignored it. I'm sorry, I don't know who Jordan Marie Daniel is, but you ignored your own gut. You probably also ignored other people saying stuff. I'm tired of people getting to claim after the fact that they knew all along that person was a bad guy, but they ignored it and did nothing about it because they're too nice. That's not nice.
No.
When you let a predator loose, when you allow a wolf in sheep's clothing to come into your flock, into your house, and hurt people, kidnap people, rape people, and kill people, that's not nice. That's not nice at all. That's sick. That's disturbing behavior. And we cannot allow it. And that's why I've been saying we have to shame, shun, and shut down rapists, racists, Nazis, where and when we find them, unafraid and unabashed. We have to. Because if we allow a little bit of that cancer to survive, it grows and it thrives and it rapes. Again and again and again. Please take this as a learning moment and see your complicity. If you were there, if you knew, if you brought him close to other people, if you said nothing, if you did nothing. Okay? Especially if you're saying, I knew, because I know what y'all doing. I know what y'all are doing. You're virtue signaling.
Exactly.
You're virtue signaling to everyone.
Yeah, I thought something was wrong with that guy.
I knew it all along. Is that what you're going to say?
Is that what
you're going to say after they declare what this time was to be a Holocaust against indigenous bodies, against children? Is that what you're going to say to people? Oh, I knew it all along. Yep, I knew that guy over there was a Nazi. I knew it, and I didn't do a goddamn thing about it. So what does that make you? That makes you a Nazi sympathizer. That's what it makes you. I knew it. I knew he was a rapist. I knew he was going to hurt someone. I always stayed in public places when I was around him because he was rapey, and I knew it, and I said nothing, and I ignored it. I ignored it. Ain't you proud of that?
Yeah.
Like you're proud of saying, if I was going to say anything at this point, and a lot of you do have to say something because you were parading around with the rapist.
Yeah.
So you got to say something now, right?
Right.
So I know why you have to talk, because you have to explain your connection to the rapist and why you were taking him into spaces where there are women, where there are people that could be harmed by these criminals. You got to explain that. But you can't go and explain it by raising your hand, by putting your post out there and going, oh, I knew it all along. I said nothing. I was sure that he was dangerous, and it made me scared. And I always stayed in a public space so he wouldn't rape me, but I told nobody. I said nothing. I let this go on. I'm sorry. You don't get a pass.
Yeah.
That's not cool. Now let's look at these pictures at the bottom of this post. I'm sorry I had to rant about that.
Oh,
How
no.
do you feel about it? Am I wrong?
No, not at all. And this whole idea that the benefit of the doubt, we've heard that in a few other people. This whole idea that, I sense something really creepy with this guy, but I'm going to just let it go. And, in a long time ago, and hang out with him and do this sort of stuff, but it's creeped me out. I'm not going to say anything to anybody. And now this news comes out, and you're like, oh, yeah, I did have those feelings. I didn't do anything about it, and you can address, you can confront people in your midst. You can just, you just stand up and start talking what's on your mind. If you're wrong, you might have to apologize for suspecting someone to being really creepy. So that whole excuse, and Cindy, I think you're 100% right, is that people right now have to kind of explain themselves. Mm-hmm. And if they're going to explain themselves saying, yeah, I did know this guy was creepy, and that's pretty consistent through all the people, it's like, look what you let happen.
Yeah.
You let it continue to happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't
by giving someone a pass or a benefit of the doubt. So yeah, I think it's
I wouldn't be like going, hey, yeah, I was wrong. I knew it all along.
Yep, exactly.
I'd probably just shut my face hole and be like, man, we screwed up. We got to do better. I mean, at least that's a little less hypocritical.
Yeah.
And even that, I mean, maybe you should just shut up.
Yeah, and here's a picture.
Or just, maybe you should just say, like, you know what? I brought this rapist in. I didn't check his background. That was my bad. I should have checked the background of this person. I think that any responsible organization would or should. I mean, most of these folks should have insurance for their activities. I mean, otherwise you're just setting people up to get hurt or arrested. Mm-hmm. Like, what would you be doing that for?
Yeah.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to look at both of these pictures because they're important. And one of them, as I showed you before, is this picture where he's wearing the gas mask that has got the pink filters on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the next one, and he's wearing a headdress. And remember, he's playing Indian in this picture. He's not really Native American. So that's really gross. And then next to that, here's another picture of him where he's doing a selfie with a bunch of people. And I want you to pay really, really close attention to the guy in the back of that picture, all the way.
Got the hat on?
And the white guy with the beard that looks like he's the Amish guy from that bowling movie, Kingpin, or what is it called?
Yeah.
that funny movie. You remember that movie?
Oh, I sure do.
Where they go bowling.
Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, with Woody Harrelson. He doesn't have an arm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he looks like the Amish dude in that. His name is actually Colin Hornett. And I'm going to tell you all about him in a little bit here. But I wanted you to see him because he's right there in that picture.
He is.
With the rapist.
Mm-hmm.
Taking a selfie. And it was like, oh, wow, okay. So, then I want you to go through that post. If there are, it's long, and you're going to have to help me read it. So
Hold on, we just...
scroll it up and let's read.
Oh, we read this.
Oh, we read that part, yeah, but not the bottom part. You got to keep going up. All the way to the bottom. Okay, now stop there and let's read some of it. Oops. What happened there? Jordan, you were not stupid for giving the benefit of the doubt. It takes huge amounts of courage after being harmed to continue to live with an open heart. Blah, blah, blah. No. Look who's there. Eve Pizzamiglio.
Oh.
Eve Pizzamiglio was one of the people working with Activate Now's
Yep.
Ed Higgins.
Exactly.
And I don't know why she continued to support this man even after she herself said that he was a fraud and a criminal and that he was probably going to go to jail. Then she never did anything against him, pulled all of her statements that were negative back, basically. She rescinded. She told me she was going to be putting out a press release and that they were terminating all of their arrangements with him and deactivating Deactivate Now.
Yeah.
They did dissolve it.
They dissolved the corporation. Yeah.
And we showed that that is no longer a real thing. Activate Now is a defunct organization, which, according to the people that created it and then dissolved it, E. Pizzamiglio and that other lady, he was Ed Higgins was taking funds from irregularly or mismanaging and or committing fraud and or other crimes for which she said he could go to jail.
Yeah.
Then never spoke about it again.
Yep.
And what did she have to say here about the rapist dude brought in to rape people? She says, E. Pizzamiglio said, I was duped by a so-called water protector. I know the feeling, but our heart and intention were at the right place. Must move on, and next time trust not only our gut feeling, but also do the due diligence to background check thoroughly.
Wow.
Well, that's a good advice. That's a good piece of advice.
Next time I'm covering for a rapist and let them keep on going raping,
But she did that before with Ed.
That's right.
The person that let that go on with Ed is like, oh, don't worry about it. I got duped too. What is that? The go-to excuse when you give agency to rapists and criminals and abusers, and you're told about it and you don't do anything to stop it?
Yeah.
You let it go on under your watchful eye? Under your support or your silence? That's interesting.
Yeah.
And scroll down even further and you will find that there is a comment by
Allison Renville.
Renville. Yes, we will get to that later. I want to show you... No, go back. I'm not going to read Allison's yet. I'm going to show Allison Renville's comment and in a little bit. I want you to keep going past that one to Gray Parsons. Movements always attract a few very adept predators. Everyone's emotions are at a near constant high level, and there is an instantaneous feeling of common values and goals. This lays an early foundation for trust. I know you knew all this on an intellectual level, but you know from experience now. It made you smarter and more seasoned, and thus more capable of protecting both yourself and those those who have not learned. Not if people don't listen, Garrett Gray, Michael Parsons. Not if the people don't listen. Keep going, and it says, yuck, jiu-jitsu. I'm telling you, I'm making a study of it on my biking journey, so I don't know. That sounds like some weird hippie thing.
Yeah.
Then it says he lost casting about for a tribe to say he is. Lost people end up hurting who they say they love most. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Okay,
keep going. RedWolf Pope has done so much work with Cheyenne River, and he was super close with Chief Arvel Looking Horse. That's the part I wanted to get to.
Mm-hmm.
So according to this poster, the original poster, Jordan Marie Daniel, on Facebook, the person that posted about how they ignored RedWolf Pope and all the red flags, said he worked with Cheyenne River and was super close with Chief Arvel Looking Horse, who Seven Mcdonald was doing work with even before Wes went to Standing Rock and she went to Standing Rock.
Mm-hmm.
She eventually then went to Standing Rock afterward, but she was already promoting Chief Arvil Looking Horse before. And incidentally, Chief Arvil Looking Horse wife sent sage to Wes Clark Jr.
Oh.
through his wife to give to Wes by giving it to RedWolf Pope.
Wow.
When he went over to meet with Wes.
Okay.
When Wes was going to meet
with
after which he met with these other people.
Wow.
I'm going to show you all of it in a second here.
All right.
Let's get to that in a minute. Keep going down. There's more. Keep going. Okay, right there. Samuel Wounded Knee says, go ahead, read that.
Sad thing is a couple of years after.
Sad thing is
in a couple of years.
in a couple of years.
A couple of years after he gets out of prison, he'll probably be on a horse riding, preaching prayer and forgiveness.
He'll probably be on a horse ride, preaching prayer and forgiveness, patted on the back,
and
defended.
That's
It
right.
happens all the time
in Native America.
No, it happens all the time in America,
Yeah,
period,
you don't
Samuel.
have to blame it on indigenous people.
No, it happens all the time, all the places. And then look who says, in response, Lou says, like that old white-haired Ute guy, up to his gonads and oil doings, pimping around all the water and land actions. The women know about him, but there's still always room made for him.
Wow.
Tough. And look who posts next. This is so outrageous to me, because one of the people that jumps on the bandwagon of saying, and this is what this post is about.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, wait until they all take in the rapist again and welcome him to the community and start putting him out there as being prayerful and peaceful and preachy, and they defend him and they whitewash him and they go, yep, he's cool again, even though, he hasn't even ever had to apologize for his behavior. None other than Menape Hochiniga, who now goes by Akichita Hoksida.
Okay.
And no matter how many times you change your name, Maloney, Baloney,
Yep.
or Akichita Hoksida, Haksida, Huckster, whatever you call yourself now.
Huckster, yes.
Menape says, oh, and like Seth, carrying a staff for the 38. That's the Dakota 38. So,
yeah.
He's also jumping on the bandwagon, throwing stones at the rapist.
Bandwagon.
Because he's done nothing wrong. He has no blood on his hands. Oh, but wait.
Yeah.
He said he was the person responsible personally for having Kathleen Bennett arrested.
Yeah.
And her mother taken away. And he said he could sleep at night very well knowing the great favor that he did for that elderly woman. You helped put her in an early grave.
Yeah.
She doesn't even get to sleep at night anymore. She's dead.
Yeah.
No thanks to you. Menape. And he jumps on the bandwagon. What a colossal hypocrite.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh my gee. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
And what does that other guy say?
Samuel. Also, take notice of the high up ones.
The high up ones. The high up people.
Ones.
Yeah, those high up ones.
Facebook.
The Facebook Indians.
Indians who aren't
sharing
this. I see them and they ain't saying shiz.
Yeah, they're not. They're staying quiet. Probably because they had something to do with this fool.
Yeah.
Rapist, I mean. Criminal rapist.
They're probably taking pictures off their Facebook pages.
And George, author, says, I know some of his buddies, and you're right. They ain't saying shiz right now. Wonder why.
And Samuel Wounded Knee says, there's two people I'm noticing who aren't saying anything. They held him up high. But I'm also noticing some of our so-called Facebook leaders who made a name for themselves up at Standing Rock.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of people that made names for themselves out at Standing Rock. Like Menape.
Yeah.
Like Mulaney. All these people wanted to make names for themselves. Like Bill Running Fisher. Like L'Oreal Blackshaw. Like Ed Higgins. All of them. Every single one of them. They wanted to make a name for themselves. And in Maggie and Seven's case, they wanted to make a PR career for themselves.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They wanted to increase their PR careers based on what they did out at Standing Rock. But y'all left some strings loose. What does Jonelle say?
Janelle Romero. When my knowing, intuitive, God-given gift informed me of someone, instincts one may call it.
She said, I met this guy in D.C. and in Santa Fe, but I felt something from him. I wondered to myself, what's up with this guy? Something's off. Creator always reveals. Okay, keep going. Your words inspire me to put into motion a project I started years ago but never completed due to health issues. Blah, blah, blah. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Let me see. Let's go to the next one. I'm just going to go to this one that talks about how Arvel Looking Horse was the medicine. He was super close to Chief Arvel Looking Horse. That was from the same post that you just had. All right. These are little clips from it.
Okay.
And it's expanded after that. Don says, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
And Ali says, "What type of work did he do here? He needs to be banished from our reservation." Yeah. Somebody DM me. And Jordan says, "I'm not sure, but he was there quite often. And he appeared to be like the son of Chief Arvel Looking Horse. Always with him. And I believe he was there in June after I saw him in L.A. In L.A.
With friends.
In June. Okay, and next, we have Eve Pizamiglio's comment, which I already showed you, so we can skip that one. Right. And we can go to Allison Renville's. And Allison said, Masque, everything you're saying is what needs to be done. Even showing how positioning your vulnerability is important. He's been seen just the way you described in many women in our circles. If you had a feeling, his type of predator knows you had that feeling. Thank God he didn't have a chance to hurt you. But everyone has to take a look at all situations like you just did. We have our guard up, and that fear is just something we learn to live with. It's the warrior instinct in our genetic memory, morphed into a modern-day survival skill. Waste sidake maske. Reach out anytime. You need to visit. But here's what Allison Renville said to Josh, the witness in the Kathleen Bennett case, after he was posting about Kathleen Bennett being innocent. When he started talking about it on social media, Allison Renville sent him this message long ago. Referring to what happened with Kathleen Bennett and her mom being abused by her, which was a lie. We showed you conclusively, proved to you that the accusations made by Bill Running Fisher were completely fabricated and false. And this woman, Allison Renville, back then, was saying to the witness, one of the witnesses that knew that she was innocent, knew she did not commit the crime they accused her of. He was being told by Allison Renville about what he was reporting, about what he was exposing. Don't talk about that attack. We need to talk before you get the story twisted. So we have you on the right page, please. We know the facts of the story. It shouldn't be talked about yet. There are truths in that article. I hope you decide to not add fuel. There are truths in the article, the article about Kathleen Bennett abusing her mom that was published in the Bismarck Tribune. She's asserting, she's saying for sure, she said, we know the facts of the story.
Yeah.
You don't get to talk about it. There are truths in that article full of lies that we proved were lies, Allison Renville.
Yep.
And she's telling the witness that knows this to be true, there are truths in that article. And she says, I hope you decide to not add fuel to the fire before the horn can comment. Do you know who the horn is? That's Menape.
Oh.
The horn is those headsmen.
That's right. That's right.
They're the horn.
Yeah.
And they're telling the witness, shut it.
Yep.
She's tampering with a witness in a case where a woman was facing 20 years. That same Allison Renville is the one that made that other post? Really?
Yeah.
The one that says,
Oh,
everything you're doing is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
This, we knew about it too. We
figure.
knew about this rapist Pope too. And blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
We know what you just did. We live with this warrior instinct. Blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
I don't believe her.
No, I don't either.
Some of these people are yucky. Do you see?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't just take at face value what they're saying because they're yucky and it shows. Let me show you what Menape said again. He was chiming in on this trio of comments saying, we let men get away with stuff, and after we let them get away with this stuff and we don't call it out in time, and there are more victims of the same person because nobody said anything and they elevated him, all of these people will forgive and forget and just pat him on the back and let him come back in. And this other person says, yep, like that one other dude. And then Akichita Hoaxita, a.k.a. Menape, the guy that put Kathleen Bennett in jail
Or claims to
and
have.
put her mother in an early grave, says, also, like that other dude.
Yeah.
How about like you,
Yeah.
Menape? You're one of those people, like you. Called out that we're allowed to commit crimes against others and we're never punished and we're never called out so that you can continue and go on to commit more and more and more, as we shall probably see. So, where was I?
Well,
Gwendolen Cates. Yes.
Yep.
Let's go to Gwendolen Cates. Here
Alright.
is a picture that I showed you on one of my last shows. I can't remember if it was Liar Liar Pants on Fire or the one about the Turks, the Let's Talk Turkey show, in which I talked about Sedef Buyakataman, one of the CFOs or the COOs of the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock, left in care of the organization after Wes left. In that show, I think I showed pictures of where Wes was going in and around this Black Eyed Peas singer.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
And I showed you guys that he was on the stage, and I showed you this picture of him, Wes Clark, with the guys that were on stage, which is the guy with the headdress right there in the middle, and next to him is RedWolf Pope.
Yeah.
You see they both have those pink
Yep, the gas masks.
the gas masks that was posted in that recent post that we just had on before this. Okay, so that's RedWolf Pope right there. And next to him is Wes, and next to Wes is Gwendolen Cates.
Yeah.
This is another picture that Gwen took at the camp. So she actually went to Standing Rock. Here's a picture from her Facebook page that was posted in November of 2016 on the 26th that has all three chairmen in the picture.
Yeah.
What a gold find. I mean, was she is just lucky or what? I'll show you a bunch of other pictures she took. But she says Gwendolen Cates, and she's got Navajo Nation President Begay. Of the Begays?
Maybe.
Like the lady that's the sister of Mulaney in that video, the Begays? Is those Begays? And Standing Rock Chairman Archambault and Cheyenne River Sioux Chairman Frazier at Ocheti Sacoin Camp. Here's another picture, and this is of the profile of Gwendolen Cates.
Oh, yeah.
And I will talk more in the future about who and what Gwendolen
she is.
But first, I want to show you William Horton.
William Horton.
Yes. Because Wes sent me this. Wes sent this text, I think, to Josh.
Okay.
On the day that RedWolf Pope got arrested, he sent this text. This is what Josh told me, that Wes sent him this text on the day that RedWolf Pope got arrested, and it says, I'm sitting with Gwendolen Cates, the photographer and documentarian that Christina Hollenbeck stayed with in New York in the spring of 2017. A woman who's Wes's friend, that Christina Hollenbeck, the woman that collected all the false statements against Kathleen Bennett. Yeah, that Christina Hollenbeck was staying with his friend, Gwendolen Cates, in New York in the spring of 2017. And I have more on that in another interview I did with Wes, where he told me about that visit, in which he claims that Gwendolen Cates told him afterwards he thought that Hollenbeck was a Russian spy.
Yeah.
And he says next in this text, we found a Russian connection. And it's separate from all the others. There are others, let's be clear, and this is a new one that Gwendolen Cates and he have found.
Wow.
That's what it says in the text.
It does.
And then he says, check out William Horton Beebe, but it's actually supposed to be Beebe.
Okay.
It's not B-E-E-B-E, not B-E-E-N-E.
Baby.
I think that was a typo on his part.
All right.
And he says, check out the William Horton Beebe Center. His wife, Stephanie,
Dee
in parentheticals, Dee Dee, was in Standing Rock while vets were there. Okay, so we checked out William Horton Beebe, and if you could read that, this is who William Horton Beebe is. A little bit about him. He's president of the Eurasia Foundation.
Yeah.
And
William Horton Beebe Center joined Eurasia Foundation in 1993 as the first field officer managing the Moscow regional office for 2 years and worked to establish the foundation's first field offices in the region. Mr. Beebe Center...
Did you say Russia?
Yeah, he was the first managing the Moscow regional office. Mr. Beebe Center returned to the United States in 1995 to serve the Vice President for Projects and Development before becoming Executive Vice President. He became President in 2006. Prior to joining the foundation, Mr. Beebe Center worked for several years in the U.S. Soviet projects ranging from ranging from intergovernmental technical exchanges, whatever that is, commercial joint venture.
Intragovernmental technical exchanges
sounds
means
like
that there are exchanges between governments.
Yes.
And it says to commercial joint ventures.
Yes. Mr. Beebe Center holds a BA in Soviet Studies from Brown University and an MA in Russian Studies from Harvard University.
Okay, then.
Wow.
And how is that? Okay. And then here's another thing we found. This is
I jumped.
You jumped.
Sorry.
You went ahead of the boat.
No, that's the next one.
No, it's not. Good.
Yep.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Let me see. Okay. So, yes, it is. It is. The next one is this message that Wes sent to me.
Okay.
In which Wes says, I sent Josh relevant information on RedWolf Pope. I can't believe how thoroughly I got suckered. It turns out I've got more native blood than he does. Well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, you're a pretty white dude. Yeah. I wouldn't say that. I mean.
Yeah.
Anyway, I responded saying, I saw that Joy Brunn, and that's the Joy Brunn of the Indigenous Environmental Network, in case you were wondering, that's the same one I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I saw Joy Brunn post about this today. I'm be surprised if she was hanging out with him, and like she was hanging out with Ed, and like she was hanging out with all the bad people, and that they never said it boo about. And now they got some splaining to do, so they're all going, this guy's horrible, look.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. I said, I saw she posted about it today. He, and I'm talking about RedWolf Pope, was one of the listed attorneys on the Jumping Eagle versus Trump case that Tangerine Bolin got Russell Vasquez involved in. Russell Vasquez, again, being the son of Kathleen Bennett and the first plaintiff on their case, which, remember, originally was going to be focused on me and other journalists being attacked.
Yes.
And later morphed into and focused on Russell specifically. And then I said, but it appears he isn't a real lawyer either. So RedWolf Pope was involved as a supposed lawyer in this case. That wasn't real either. And he said to me, look at a guy named Colin Hornett. That's the guy I just told you is in that picture that looks like the hippie, that Amish guy.
Yep, from
that was from the Post
Yep.
that we read through.
Yep.
That one?
Yep.
Yeah. That dude is Colin Hornett. And according to Wes Clark Jr., he says that Colin Hornett was the person who brought RedWolf Pope to his house just a few days before he went out there, meaning
Standing Rock.
to Standing Rock.
Okay.
Just a few days before he went to Standing Rock, Colin Hornett, RedWolf Pope's friend, I guess, shows up with him and RedWolf Pope at Wes's house. And he says that they showed up with, get this, 200 Israeli gas masks. 200 Israeli gas masks for the protest. And RedWolf gave him sage, tobacco, and pine needles that he said came from Paula Looking Horse, Arvel Looking Horse's wife.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to read you the rest of what Wes said to me there. There's some more stuff. I will show to you later. It is kind of interesting. But we need to move along now, kids.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yep.
I got to show you who Colin Hornett is because he told me, look at Colin Hornett. So here he is. He's a British guy. I can tell you more about him. It's pretty weird because he claims that he was born in England, raised in Canada. He was a professional snowboarder, but then because he got a serious knee injury, went into philosophy and physics before going to law school, and then going to become a corporate litigator in Toronto, Canada, where he then decided to practice in entertainment law before joining a music label, and then, wait, there's more! And then he began writing and took a job with the New York Times, producing socioeconomic reports, of which I cannot find a single effing one, on emerging market countries. But again, I haven't found any evidence that he wrote for the New York Times or any other publication ever, except for a press release one time, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And also, he said he went to Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
Scooter, and spent 3 weeks traveling around Africa. He also ended up making a film about his trip to thank Scooter for being a cool guy, and then which is then how he ended up getting on MTV Canada.
Wow.
And wait, no, I'm not done.
Oh,
there's
more.
more. This doesn't sound like Christina Hollenbeck. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
It
sounds exactly like Christina. I was like, who does this remind me of?
I know. And then he had a great time making that film, so he got interested in telling stories, and then important TV people told him he was actually good at it, so he moved to New York. Who the important TV people are, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe it was Christina Hollenbeck. Maybe it was Wes. Who knows? But he got gigs and documentaries, and then in November of 2008, he went to work for The Source magazine in video production, and then after he helped that grow in significant viewership, he was offered a job with the Miss Universe organization. Donald Trump's organization, the Miss Universe organization.
Wow.
Let me repeat that again. He got offered a job by Donald Trump's organization, where he oversaw the development of the digital multimedia department. And while he was with them, the Miss Universe organization, he directed and produced the first webcast in 60-year history of Miss Universe, and until recently, he was responsible for the photography, original content, and short film found online for Miss Teen USA, and Miss Universe. And in addition to working behind the camera, he hosted the 2011 Miss Universe preliminary competition in 2012 in the Bahamas, and he created and starred in the web series Awesome! He also is currently the producer of iPowwow, an interactive media platform that wants to change the faces. Please kill me. Oh. And he makes pajama clothes that he wears outside in public. And also, let's go to the next thing on him. This is a post from his Instagram. Could you read that, please?
Yes, you're looking at the newest citizen of the United States of America.
Oh, God.
I'm wearing a at yogic suit.
That's his line of clothing.
Okay, yogics.
It's pronounced yogs.
Yogs.
Excuse me. I'm trying to teach you something.
Okay, yogs.
It's pronounced yogs.
Yogs.
There you got it.
Yog suit. I designed and made it in America. The feather in my hat is from Standing Rock. The bandana in my pocket is of Joshua Tree. My socks are Muhammad Ali and
Jackie Robinson.
My jersey is that of a Colin Kaepernick.
I'm wearing black people sort of on my body as a fashion statement, and I effing love this place.
Yes, and I'm
the incredible folks that make it so in the U.S. of A.
Yeah. We believe in life and liberty.
As an American, I believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, until we get that part right. The foundation of our nation will continue to be in conflict. Make room for everyone. Stand with your brothers and sisters. Do your part. Do it with kindness, and remember what the King said.
Oh, Dr. King? He had to throw him in there, too?
The King. If there is injustice for one, it's injustice for all. Thank you to the courageous inspiration that is Kaepernick 7 for representing the ideals.
Look at what the misguided, good intentions of well-meaning whites gets you. Look where it gets you.
Yeah.
He was running around taking rapists to Wes's house and to meet, and Wes to meet them, the rapists to meet witnesses in the Kathleen Bennett case.
Yeah.
And apparently, here's the last one.
That's a video.
He worked. No, show me the Miss USA first, real quick. This is that press release I told you he wrote.
Oh, okay.
This he did write. I think he did write this, and it was for JVC. Can you make that bigger for me?
Actually, it'll go off screen. It's really hard because it's really poorly done.
Okay, that's cool though.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, there's a date.
Yep, August 6, 2011.
Yep, 16th.
And he says right there that Hornet leads a small team that oversees organizations, online interactive productions. Team is responsible for maintaining and blah, blah, blah. Online video player, live cast, and documenting the lives and activities of Miss Universe, Miss USA, Miss Teen USA, the blah, blah, blah. Can you move that over a little bit? The Miss Universe organization and a joint venture of Donald J. Trump and NBC Universal is celebrating its 60th anniversary. And if you scroll down a little bit more, okay, now move to the right. Keep going. Okay, now scroll down. No, up. I mean up. Okay, let me see. This is not the one. Go back to the text message from Wes.
What's it called?
Okay, so scroll down. Oh, wait, no, it doesn't have that. Anyway, one of the other things that he said to me was that that Colin guy hosted Miss Universe or one of the Trump pageants in Moscow.
In Moscow.
In Russia.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was something that stood out to Wes, which is the reason why he told me to look at this guy. Who's also connected to the Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, the RedWolf Pope.
Yeah.
Who brought that guy to his house, right? And I thought that it said that on that press release, which is why I put it in there.
Yeah.
But it actually said it on another piece of Wes's text message.
Okay.
And also somewhere else in his stuff. You can look up his stuff. This Wes Colin Hornett. Colin Hornett. You
There
can
you go.
find his stuff.
Yeah.
And you can find his work on this pageant in Moscow.
Okay.
But I wanted to show you a video he posted. Oh, by the way, go back to his Instagram post. We're not done with that yet.
All right.
I wanted to read the rest of it. We didn't read the rest of it. He said, "Thank you for all the courageous inspirations that Kaepernick for representing his ideals." Keep going. Oh, no. Go to the top again. Oh. It's not on here. I thought it was. He had, probably wasn't another one, but he had this like, I think when he posted this somewhere else, it said hashtag now you can make America great again, MAGA. Now you can MAGA, because he's become a U.S. citizen, I guess.
Yeah, no, he's
and my inference of what he meant that now that he's a U.S. citizen, he can make America great again.
Yeah.
But I thought it was weird that he used the MAGA thing.
Why?
And now I can't find it, and I don't want to go look
Trump.
in his Instagram to look for it, but
Yeah.
it's in there. If you want to go find it yourselves, you can. Anyway, point is, I wanted to share that he said that now you can make America great again, because that is the title of the video I'm about to show you with Colin in it. Here's Colin's video titled, "Now You Can." He's wearing his pajamas, clothing.
Has anybody ever told you you can't? You can't do what you want to do? You can't be who you want to be? Well, now you can. But what do I know? I'm just a guy in a velvet suit, with a cloak, covered in butterfly wings, standing on top of a pirate ship in the middle of the desert. Welcome to Yogs. Permission granted.
Hashtag now you can. Yogs.
There we go.
On his website thing, it says how to pronounce it, and it says phonetically pronounced yogs. I was like, wow, that is some craziness.
I have to say, I get a weird feeling about that guy. I got to trust my gut on it. I was going to give him the benefit of the doubt, but he seems really strange to me. I don't think we can trust him.
You mean like crazy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and he was connected to Donald J. Trump's Miss Universe pageant, was in Russia doing that thing, and brought people over to Wes's house.
Yeah.
A rapist, specifically, who then got introduced to the witnesses in the Kathleen Bennett case.
Yeah.
So I thought I would show you that video because I don't know what kind of person this guy is, but I don't know if he's mentally stable, and I'm starting to wonder what kind of people were being connected to Wes and why those people were given agency, why Seven, who he claims is a good friend, went on to introduce him to this crazy person, Maggie, who he claims that he really didn't know very well, but now he also claims he didn't really know Seven very well, and also that he didn't really know Sedef very well, and that he didn't really.
Once,
I don't know. I don't know, but he did say that Seven was a good friend. And so I don't know why she would take Maggie there. I don't know why these people would have been connected to the witnesses in the Kathleen Bennett case.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
I remember I told you later on, Maggie went on to lose her shnikes, and then she attacked the witnesses in the Kathleen Bennett case, and they were going to, like, her and Carol, the lady that put up the $10,000 for her attorney, like, really kind of basically trying to sabotage the case itself, and thought that because Carol had given the money and Maggie had been helping, supposedly, that they would be able to derail the case or do something to harm the witnesses or the work that we had done.
Yeah.
And they were wrong. And we still won, and she's still exonerated.
Yes.
And I think that probably burns them a little bit because
course.
they were all working really hard
They're trying
to
to
hide
stop
this.
it, yeah. They're
really hard to hide the crimes that they committed against this Guala Lakota elder.
Yeah, for sure.
And her daughter. And it's disturbing to me that they continue to do bad things, that they continue to be out there acting in bad ways, doing disaster relief, getting involved in these high security positions that give them access to giant databases of people's information. And most recently, in this very disturbing post, this guy named Trek Thunder Kelly posted this about helping the children in the cages, and it really disturbed me. And this was just June 16th. Okay. Very recently. It says, guys, and it is tagged with 4 people, or several people. Sedef Buyakataman and four other people on June 16th, and it says, guys, there needs to be an organized, inclusive, constructive, publicity-focused movement on site near these immigrant children, like at Standing Rock.
Wow.
This is intolerable, and he tags Wesley Clark, Jerry Brunskill, Aaron Mishler, Jung Kim, Sedef M. Buyakataman, Wendy Smith, Colin Hornett, the guy that worked for the Miss Universe pageant.
That's right, the butterfly guy.
This Trump organization, and also went to Russia. That now Wes suspects and is telling me I need to look more closely at. Just recently got tagged with that person and Sedef Buyakataman in this post, as if they all are still working together on stuff. And it says Greg Poulier and Brock Pierce. Those are all the people that were tagged. And if you go down, Wes comments on this. It wasn't like they tagged him in a post he didn't give a crap about, he wasn't thinking about, wouldn't do, doesn't want anything to do with. He says in response, thinking about it. And Trek Thunder Kelly says, let's talk. And then none other than Sedef Buyakataman appears. And she comments on it too. If they're not talking, as Wes says, he hasn't had any communication with Sedef for over a year, until very recently after my show, where he claims that she said to him while we were on the phone, in fact, that he should be ashamed of himself. Just in June, recently, was commenting on a post in which she was tagged with Wes. And she said it would depend on who's involved. It would depend. Then she's not saying, no, we're not going to do that. Look at the horrible things that we did with the whole Veteran Standing Rock thing. Why would we do that again? That would be a stupid idea. We've already done so much damage. But no, that didn't stop them. They're like, oh, well, I consider it. They're all considering it. Okay, next. Oh, is that all? This is Trek Thunder Kelly.
There we go.
Oh, he says there's actually a March to Tornillo that Beto is leader happening right now in Texas.
Come on down.
So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they were responsible for some of those things. And it was really kind of disturbing to me not to see that people from Standing Rock and Joy Brunn and all those people were outside of a detention center supposedly protesting against the detentions of undocumented kids. But they were raising money for their organization to do that work when there are literally Mexicans like yours truly that have been doing this work for decades. And you're going to take resources for your organization that should be going to a defense fund for the people that are in those detention centers, that should be going for legal fees to get them out, that should be going directly to those families. I don't understand why. Why on earth you would do that? Unless you're trying to co-opt somebody else's suffering, unless you're trying to co-opt, sell out indigenous suffering to the highest bidder. And you're the performance artist that's collecting the check like RedWolf Pope did. And here's Trek Kelly's Wikipedia page. Go read it for yourself. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but he's a performance artist, basically. Trek Kelly sounds like he's very much like that weird guy that was standing on top of a bus
Yep.
Shaped like a pirate ship.
Yeah.
Wearing
pajamas
and
he's
a
a
butterfly
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
thing. And
There's another one, huh?
yeah, he's another one of those. And he, yeah, you know, he credentializes himself as being so much more than just an artist. And he's from Albuquerque, New Mexico, but he currently lives in Venice, California.
Oh.
That one place where Thrashbird, that artist that's
yes,
friends
that's
with
right.
Maggie, I'm sure that's probably connected to Seven, did that Free Kathleen Bennett thing that they wrote on the
Freeway,
101.
yeah.
The 101, yeah. And also, it says that in his career, he went around to a whole bunch of different countries, trekking around. Let me see. Go scroll down further. Let's see where it says this. He went on a Navajo reservation, and all these people like want to become like some kind of, you know, they go on an Indian journey,
Yes.
and then they become the hunka kid of some Lakota woman
Yep.
and get an Indian name.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
really like fetishizing indigenous culture, and
Mhm.
it's really gross, you
Yeah.
know. But he talks about his little whatever the hell it was, and then he
Mhm.
also went on Good Morning America, or Good in America? No, he went on a van ride where he went to a bunch of states, hiking to waterfalls, visiting museums, sleeping in over 100 Walmarts, and meeting amazing people across the country. Yeah, so he's a performance artist. I don't know, but I think he's a weirdo.
I get a funny feeling about that guy too. I have to trust my gut. You know, I just get a weird thing. I haven't seen his eyes yet, but I get a weird feeling. Just like the other guy on top of the bus. It sounds like another one of their bus buddies.
Mm-hmm. It's a little bit odd.
Yep.
And I'm going to go back to and cover more about Gwendolen Cates. The woman that you found in that text that was sent to Josh, the woman who was in the picture with Wes and RedWolf Pope.
Pope, yes.
And I'm going to also explain to you a lot of stuff about the connections that I told you about earlier with Jeff Day and Stephen L. Day and Nico House and all of that. I'm coming back to it. I promise. I just can't do it all in one. And this was a big show with a lot of information. You made it through it. I'm so proud of you that y'all made it through, that y'all are watching, sharing, learning, and shaming, shunning, and shutting down all of these rapists, rape apologists, and the people that gave them strength, power, and lifted them up, and let them keep on raping, and let them keep on hurting people. Okay? We're not going to do that anymore. Thanks for being here on A Mexican Crossing Lines. I'm out.
Yep.